What do Taylor Swift, the COVID pandemic, and 3 German chancellors have in common? Peter Limbourg was DW's, the Germany's international broadcaster's general director, when they made headlines. Mr. Limbourg, Peter, you've led Germany's international broadcaster through a decade of rapid transformation. How has the media landscape changed in your time?
I think the media landscape was already quite diverse. Social media was already coming up. The internet was already strong. Lots of things could be seen, but I think the real power of social media hasn't been in effect already, and that means not only the positive power but also the destructive power with propaganda, disinformation. So there was a whole different landscape, and I think also at this age, 12 years ago, there was sometimes a bit more trust also in classic media than it is today. And I think we did a lot of transformation at Deutsche Welle in these days and in these years.
So multiple crises and wars have also shaped journalism in the last decade. How has changed the journalistic work of Deutsche Welle?
I think we went much more into the regions, so also in war zones. We have a huge office in Kiev nowadays with more than 30 people. We are very active in all over the world with now more than 20 offices for DW Academy also, but also DW program. So I think we're much closer now to our audiences.
As you mentioned, DW has studios and reporters in many crisis regions. From your recent trips to Ukraine and to the Middle East, what were the strongest takeaways, Peter?
Well, first of all, it's the situation in Ukraine is very difficult. The Russian attacks are getting more aggressive, more civilians die, and journalism is vital to show what's happening. And we also see that the situation within Ukraine is difficult. After now 3 years and more than of war, it is something where I think we as journalists must continue, and also when hopefully someday a kind of ceasefire will get in effect, I think we also must continue our reporting in this country, and I think this is something very important. In the Middle East, I was in Damascus for the first time now for a long period. We can work there, we can actually do journalism in Syria, and we recorded a very intense talk show of our Arabic program, Jafar Talk with Jafar Abdul Karim, in the heart of Damascus, in the old city of Damascus. And this was really moving because you see so many people still wounded from this dictatorship, from the civil war, and also now the ethnic problems in the country. So I think it's very important also to invest in Syria as a region to do journalism, international media. Yeah.
Talking about Middle East, DW has received a lot of criticism regarding its coverage of the situation in Gaza. And when you look back, where did DW make mistakes?
I think our program didn't make mistakes. Maybe one picture maybe was not right once or something, but in general we are trying to be a more or less objective observer of what's happening, and we'll get criticism from every side. We're getting criticism from pro-Israelis and we're getting criticism from pro-Palestine groups, and harsh criticism and hate speech. So I think as long as we are criticized from both sides, we do something probably quite right.
But I have to follow up here. Even AI tools that I have consulted for this interview think that the most pressing issue when it comes to asking the DW's general director is the following. DW is state-funded, yet claims editorial independence. How do you safeguard that independence when reporting critically about German politics?
Oh, that's quite easy. We are state-funded, but the government is not telling us what to broadcast. There are boards, editorial boards and financial boards, which guarantee that we can work independently. So let's say the Minister of Culture, he can wish something, but I don't necessarily have to do it. And so I think the independence is really important, and I think we couldn't have grown so fast with nowadays more than 337 million weekly users if we don't have this trust from our audiences. And this trust comes from independence, and so they see these are reliable journalists and they try to be objective. I think we have a broad support from our viewers and users.
So DW faces censorship in countries like Russia, China, Iran and Turkey, yet we still broadcast to those languages. What do you answer to those who accuse DW of being a tool of Western propaganda?
First of all, we do journalism and not propaganda. And there's this very, very clear difference. In journalism, you try to see both sides or multiple sides. And in propaganda, you just see one side and you just tell it. And this is something which differs our program from other state-funded media in autocracies and dictatorships. So this is a real difference. And if it comes to democracy and human rights, yes, we are trying to promote democracy and human rights. And I think this is something, and press freedom, this is something where we stand for, and I think this is good.
So you mentioned press freedom, and press freedom is under pressure not only in authoritarian states, but also in traditional democracies. You spoke out against Voice of America's closure. Where does Europe stand? And where does DW Europe stand now?
Yeah, we believe that it's vital to inform people, especially in areas where they don't get all the information or censored information. And we are the voice of freedom. And unfortunately, our American friends had to close down their operation, Voice of America, and Radio Free Europe is in big trouble. So I think this brings Europe into a new role, a new position. So we have to do more. So Germany must do more, Britain must do more, France must do more to fill at least a small gap of the huge gap which is now openly seen when the Americans are no longer broadcasting into regions where no other language offer is offered to the audiences. So I think we have to do more.
In your time, the role of social media has grown significantly. One big advantage is, of course, that it's much easier to be in touch with our audiences all over the world and receive feedback. But one recurring point of criticism is that DW has a quote-unquote woke agenda. What's your response to that?
Oh no, we don't have a woke agenda. We have an agenda for human rights and democracy. This is the only agenda we have. And freedom of the press and freedom of expression. So if you want to call this woke, fine, go with it. But it's something which is really important for us, that we are a platform for a lot of opinions. And I think we must be credible for people who are more left of center or more right of center. We might not be credible for extremists from whatever side, because we try to be a voice of freedom and a voice of reason also. So we are interested in not polarization, but information. And if people think that this is woke, I mean, I can't help them. I mean, it's something which we often witness, that people who have their own agenda want to discredit media, international media, or public service media, as we are, because they don't see that we always follow their agenda. And I think this is something which we see in a lot of countries, that people from the right and sometimes also from the left try to discredit public service media and international media, but it's for their own agenda.
I would like to talk about the role of social media and algorithms. They play a major role in editorial decision making nowadays, and the big tech companies are US or China based. When will Europe hear the wake-up call?
Unfortunately, I think they might have heard the wake-up call, but they ignore it for the moment. They should do much more to be present into this platform business and to create a space where we can offer our public transparent algorithm. For the moment, they're not transparent. They transport hate, they transport a lot of propaganda, disinformation, and they have maybe only commercial interests. I think we need a European platform driven by also public service media, but also open for private media, who are working for credible journalism. And there are not only public service media, it's also private media who is doing this. So I think this is something Europe needs, and urgently.
And talking about social media, number of views or interactions take priority sometimes over quality journalistic content. Can we ever win this race?
Yes, because I think people are smarter than we might just think, or maybe the big tech things. People want to be well informed, but we need more media literacy to explain to a lot of people that what they get is directed by other interests. Big tech interests, Chinese government, US platforms, whoever is there, or Elon Musk, or whoever is there and directs this algorithms, they are deciding what people should see and know. And I think people want to get information from a credible, impartial source. And that's DW, and I think this is something which gives us a good reason to exist.
Mm-hmm. And heading to the end of this interview, there's a real fear of a hot war coming back to Europe. There are hybrid attacks already in many fields. Europe is boosting defense spending. Churches are preparing for the worst case scenario. What about Deutsche Welle, DW as an institution? Do you prepare at all for a situation where the internet is down, for example?
We have different scenarios where we see what can we do, but we are transporting our information via internet, via satellite, still in some parts of the world via shortwave. So I think we are also here very diverse, and I think one should be well prepared to everything, but not necessarily talk about it every day.
Peter Limbourg, Peter, thank you for this interview.
Thank you very much, Dimitra.